All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What is going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. I am here with Greg Hot Seat Gallino. You saw me not too long ago, actually a half an hour ago from Just Say the Truth. Well, this show is What the Puck, all hockey show related. So let's get this thing on the road and get right into the advertisements. Chris, can you pull up Suzanne Paparazzi Jewelry?
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network. Suzanne's.
Now, can you pull up Misty Meadows? Oh gosh, I wish I've never actually been, but I wish I lived over there in Oregon because I really want some of that jam and barbecue sauce and jelly right now. But I will, going right into the next ad. Chris, can you pull up the t-shirts, the free t-shirts? Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. So I just wanted to remind everybody that if you want to win a free t-shirt, it's really easy. All you have to do is like the show, comment the show, be engaged in the show. At the end of the month, we tally every single comment, and the person who gets the most comments by the end of the show wins a free t-shirt. And now going in and talk to the paid side here. But say for a second you can't comment. You actually missed the show, and you're listening through audio, whatever the case may be. All you have to do, if you want a shirt, you can also talk to me, talk to Greg, talk to everybody. That's anybody in the network, and they'll be able to. Somebody will be able to get you. If you send in the size and everything, you can win. You can get a shirt for $14.99 plus shipping and handling. And the sizes go from small to 2XL. Now going right into the topics here. I wanted to start off, top 5. We've covered a lot of teams within this Canadian division, but right now we're probably gonna cover the one that is doing the most successful right now, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. We do have a comment and somebody in the comment section. Go wild from Brandon Herrera. We do have somebody in the comment section. So I'm gonna go. So just Greg, why don't you go with yours first, and then I'll go with mine.
My top 5 goalies.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go for the Toronto Maple Leafs. As you know, Nate the Great, I'm high on the Maple Leafs this year,
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
bud. I know. It's hard to gauge how good they really are because they're playing the Ottawa Senators, almost every week. So I don't know if that's really helping them out or not. But yeah, let's get to it anyways because I'm singing their praises. I think they're gonna make a run. So without further ado, here it goes. Number 5, I got Frederik Andersen. He's currently playing. So all the others are former players. But yeah, Frederik Andersen. I got him in the 5 hole. He's been pretty solid goalie in the backstop for the Maple Leafs. He's got 149 wins. He's got about a 90% save percentage, a consistent backstop, and a great part of their success over the past few years. So, number 4, I got the other half of the odd couple, Felix Potvin. Felix Potvin, he wasn't really a flashy, big name goaltender. I mean, there's other names out there, of course, within this organization that could probably be in there, but I put Felix Potvin in there over Ed Belfour and a few others because, he played from 1991 to 1999 for the Maple Leafs. And back in the early to late 90s, Toronto Maple Leafs didn't really have, a great team, but he was a pretty decent backstop. I mean, he was able to get them about 149 wins over those 9 seasons that he played with them, and it got people excited because they were starting to win some games. A lot of people might say that the Toronto Maple Leafs were kind of garbage or junk back in those years, but a lot of people started getting pretty excited, for once during the late 90s with Felix Potvin in there because he was helping them, giving them a chance to win some games. And, even though they didn't have great offense and everything, he still was pretty consistent. He was, around 90% save percentage, and he was just a very well-liked player for that organization for almost a decade. So I got him in my 4 hole. And then, of course, number 3, we got Cujo, Curtis Joseph. Picked up 138 wins. He had a little over 90% save percentage. He had 17 shutouts. Curtis Joseph is one of the all-time greats. Played for several organizations, but Curtis Joseph, he was definitely a force to be reckoned with when he was wearing a Maple Leafs uniform. So I got him as my number 3. And then number 2, got a guy by the name of Johnny Bower. Johnny Bower had 92% save percentage. He picked up 157 wins in his time with the Maple Leafs. He had 32 shutouts. Very well-liked player. Great backstop. Way back in the day for the Maple Leafs. And then probably, we've talked about funny names in hockey, and we like players with really catchy names and really great names. So here's another great name for you to remember, okay? Here's number 1 on my list, and who can deny a guy named Turk? Walter Turk Broda. Okay? He was pretty much Mr. Hockey over there for the Maple Leafs. I mean, played way back at the start of their organization. So the guy, played in over 620 games. He won 304 games for him. He had 61 shutouts. What else can I say about the guy? I mean, he was a tremendous backstop in the very early years of this franchise. And to me, he leads the entire franchise for games played, games won as a goalie. So that's who I got for my number 1. Don't forget the name, Walter Turk Broda.
So I'll go ahead and get this start with my list. I'm gonna go 5 through 1, and my number 5. He played 4 years with the team. Played from 2002 to 2006. He goes by the name of Ed Balfour, and he didn't have a great past, but we're not. That's not the point we're gonna get. He played. He played with the Chicago Blackhawks, played with the Sharks, played with the Stars, played with the Leafs. But he was 5'11". He was part of a team which wasn't, they're great now, but they weren't great back then. There's nothing much to really say about this team, but I'm gonna go with number 5, Ed Balfour. Number 4 he actually had 2 stints with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Curtis Joseph. He played from 1998 to 2002, and then he played from 2008 to 2009. Kojo, unlike Potvin, was one of those net minders that Toronto grew up on. Playing from a team in 1998 to 2002, and then finishing his career his final year in the GTA. Curtis Joseph is the face of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the net. Unlike Potvin, Joseph stood fairly respectful for the Toronto for the not necessarily capable of pulling through and actually winning it. They were an okay Toronto Maple Leafs team. So this guy actually, however, does have the 4th most wins for this team by a goalie in franchise history, with 454. Now going into the 90s, again, wasn't a great team, but however was a great goalie. Felix Potvin played from 1991 to 1999. He was not one of the Leafs' best goaltenders statistically or style-wise, but he did, however, he was of the way that he won over the generation. After Felix, they just had a list after list of guys that was just garbage goaltenders. They didn't have great goaltenders after Felix. So, I mean, that's probably why I have him so high. It's just because right after that, they just had terrible goaltenders after that. Going in number 2, I gotta go by a guy named Johnny Bower, who played way back in the day, 1958 to 1970. Played for a very long time. Played for 12 years. He's the only living member of the Leafs to have won a Stanley Cup standing in the net. I mean, none of the other guys that is on my list actually have done that. That's another. He played for a very, very long time. Played for 12 years, like I've said. And then number 1. Number 1 played way back, even before Johnny Bower. And you have yours on your number 1 as well. Turk Bruda, 1936 to 1943. And then he came back It took a year. He did take a year off, but he came back in 1945 and played until 1952. A lot of people way back then they were upset that Broda was left off the all time this August, but he he was just a great uh, following a handful of years with just Stanley Cup winning tandem. He was just a great goalie. Played in for a very very long time. Um, he fun fact about this team. He forced the rival team to deal to Toronto for $7,500 that he would never play for another NHL team. I don't think he actually has. He's never played for another NHL team. Not like what you see nowadays, where you get trades after trades after trades, and the same way goes for every other sport. You look at I'm blinking on that guy. He played quarterback. He was a journeyman, not. He was a journeyman quarterback. He's played for actually I think 13 teams. He's actually I am blanking on the guy's name, but he played quarterback. He had a father-daughter appreciation day at his daughter's school. So she rallied up all of her friends, and all of her friends wore one jersey for that guy, and there still was not enough. But that's just, and I know that's a football point and not a hockey point, but that's just to prove that you don't get that team loyalty from players anymore. You don't, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, hockey, baseball, football, whatever. You don't get that loyalty. Am I wrong, Greg?
Yeah. Loyalty. I'll tell you what. Loyalty in any sport is rare these days, Nate. So I mean, to find a player that's just true blue to one team and just bleeds that team's colors. I mean, that's very rare to find in sports these days, because it seems like one way or the other. It all comes down to, in many circumstances, money or management, or just some kind of change in scenery, or something. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. It's very hard to see a one team guy anymore, in any sport. So I think that loyalty goes a long ways, and like you were saying, I mean, when you can find a person that's that loyal to a team, and really stands by that one team, that shows a lot of love and pride, um, for the team and the organization, and the love for the fans.
I mean, way back then, imagine how much. Imagine comparing how much that would be worth at today's standpoint. $7,500 is a lot for betting at today's standpoint, but this happened back in the 30s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was. There was a bet. It was a bet that 7,500 set for $7,500, a bet that he would stay, whether he would stay on the team or not.
Yeah, that's a lot of money back in the 30s. I mean, you're talking. I mean, a lot went down back in that era. I mean, you had the Great Depression right before
Yeah,
that era, and $7,500 wasn't easy to come by any means. I mean, it's hard to come by in today, but I mean, $7,500 in comparison to today's money. I mean, that's just an awful lot of money. I mean, $7,500 back then. could have probably got you 2 or 3 cars,
Yes, yes.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, that's a big bet. But as we know, for sports betting, you can almost bet on anything. You can bet on who's going to win the tip. You can win a bet on who's going to be the starter on opening day of baseball. You can bet on just about anything. So
Oh
yeah, but
gosh.
that's an astronomical amount of money for the 1930s.
I only can imagine, how much people spend nowadays. It if that there was a betting thing like that. But
Well, did you hear about the guy that bet on the Atlanta Falcons after the third quarter? The Falcons were up by like 20 points or something, and a guy bet um, over like $150,000, and all he was going to win if the Falcons held their lead was $30,000. And then the
what?
Falcons blew that game, and he lost $150,000 just trying to win 30,000 because he thought it was a sure thing.
Wow. That's shocking. But I'm gonna say though, we're actually let's move on. Let's move on to talk. Um, let's go on and actually talk about the standings. We're gonna talk about the standings a little early. And I'm actually gonna put up the share screen here. Chrome tab. We have some games going on. We'll get to this Golden Knights game against the Kings and the Blues game versus the Sharks. But we'll look at the standings here. We're actually going to go with the Central Division first. You have the Lightning at first with 44 points. Florida Panthers have been doing great. They're at second with 42. Carolina Hurricanes also are tied for second with 42 points. And then you have all these guys. You just have a huge drop in number of points for 42 to 33. And so 42 to 33. So that 33 points by the hold on. 33 points by the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blue Jackets have the Blue Jackets actually have 31. The Predators have 27 points. The Stars have 25, and the Red Wings are at 24. It's been a constant neck-to-neck battle between the Stars and the Red Wings of who's going to be last. Regardless, I don't see any of these teams going to the playoffs. It's not even a discussion at this point. They're either, even the Predators are as a playoff-worthy team. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, I don't see the Predators, the Stars, and definitely the Red Wings are, in my opinion, are going to be out. The Blue Jackets, they may have an outside chance if they can pick it up and get a few things going, but I don't know. I'm thinking that the Panthers may make a move here. I'm not talking about free agency or anything, but I think that they're a very hot team. I mean, I think that a lot of people like the Lightning. I know that Ray Cruz likes the Hurricanes. I'm kind of digging on the Panthers right now. I think that the Panthers may be the best team in this division. I know they're a couple points behind, but I think that they may overtake the Lightning when it's all said and done.
Actually, speaking of the playoffs right now, I'm very, very, very big into the playoffs. I literally see. I know the Red Wings are probably out right now. Looking at the standings here, I see probably in a week's time they're probably going to be eliminated from the top spot. I'm just gonna say that now. That's literally what we're looking at. What the situation is going for the Detroit Red Wings. That's in a week. A week from today, I seriously would put the humble pie up here. They're not eliminated from the top spot in a week. Now, Dallas might take a little bit longer than that, but Detroit's probably going to be eliminated from the first seed in probably about a week. Do you agree?
Yeah, I just think that it's a little late in the game right now. We're right around the halfway point, or maybe a little bit over, and I just don't see the Red Wings. Are showing a little bit of signs of life, but I think that it's pretty much time for them to regroup, and definitely the Stars. I think are out of the mix. I think the Predators too. I think that they haven't got their act together. So I would probably count on all three of those teams to be out. I'm really thinking. I've spoke highly of the Lightning before, and I like the Hurricanes as a personal team, but I do think that the Florida Panthers are probably the strongest team. Not by a wide margin. I mean, it's very close. In fact, I think that this division is probably the toughest because I think that the Lightning, the Panthers, and the Hurricanes are probably the top three teams in the league, and there they are. 1, 2, 3. Except I would put
Yeah.
the Panthers and then the Hurricanes and the Lightnings in order of how I think that they actually are.
Now let's move on to the next division. Let's look over into the East. You have the Capitals on top of 44. You have the Islanders at 42. You have the Pittsburgh Penguins at 37. You have the Boston Bruins at 36. Philadelphia Flyers at 33. The Rangers at 28. The Devils at the Devils are actually the Rangers. Excuse me, the Rangers, the Devils. I'm sorry, you're looking at this wrong again. 28, 24, and then the Buffalo Sabres are at 16. The New York Islanders. Last week when we were talking about this, New York Islanders were at the top spot, and you had a lot of faith looking into that team, but the New York Islanders are actually on a 2-game losing streak.
Well, a lot of that can be said. I mean, I should have knocked on wood, Nate, because right when I was singing their praises, all heck broke loose. Because shortly after that, our leading scorer, that I'm an Islanders fan, Anders Lee, he's out.
Yeah.
He's out. He's out for the season with an ACL injury. So I don't know. We need to figure it out. I think that we're going to be a distant second. I think in this in this division, because I just don't see us really overtaking first at this point without our main scorer. Although Barzal's still playing good, and he's still picking up penalty minutes and still picking up some good points. But without Anders Lee, we just picked up a guy named Andrei Gruganov, who's gonna be on a 2-way contract. So he's gonna fill in a little bit and everything, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. We may have to get deep into our pocketbooks a little bit from a management standpoint. Last week, I said that I wouldn't do anything with the Islanders because we were playing so rock solid. Our defense was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
We have a well-rounded group of players with Barzal and Anders Lee. We're really tearing it up with goals and total points. But I just see my Islanders right now. I think that they're definitely still a top 10 team, but I could see us taking a little bit of a dip because Anders Lee was a big catalyst for that offense, and we might have to go out and make a move for Taylor Hall or somebody that can get us a little bit of more scoring. So I don't know. Penguins. a couple weeks ago I was on the show and I didn't really think that the Penguins had much going on, and now they're coming on strong and looking pretty good. And it's kind of flip flop because I know that J-Mac about 3 or 4 weeks ago, he was all thinking that the Bruins were going to make a run and play for the Stanley Cup and everything, and now the Bruins are just kind of right in the middle now. They were
That's
a
true.
definite top 5, top 6 team, and they've kind of slumped a little bit. I know that they've won their last couple of games, but for some reason, I thought that they'd be a little bit higher up there, and the Penguins have overtaken them. So I don't know. I think that the Capitals are probably going to take this division now. I was really having high hopes on the Islanders, but it seems like every time I talk good about my team, they don't do well. That's why I don't really say anything when my Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA start winning some basketball games.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you.
When it happens.
I don't blame you. I mean, I brought this up in our All Sports All Plays Network group chat. Houston right now is just a mess. Houston Rockets, they're on a 19-game losing streak, losing to the Pistons today. But I'm getting off topic. I do have 2 more things to say about this division. The Capitals, looks like they're on a 7-game winning streak. Yes, I said it, a 7-game winning streak. And as I stressed, a while back, I mean, not I stressed, but J-Mac brought it up last week. It's really hard, really, really hard to win 7 games. And they're doing it. Do you think the Capitals can be that Stanley Cup team that they were a couple of years ago?
I don't know quite if they're going to be quite the Stanley Cup team that they were, because I mean, Ovechkin was playing out of his mind a few years ago in the Stanley Cup Finals, and he seemed to be in a little bit better health from a physical standpoint. It seems like he's had some injuries or kind of playing through some injuries this season, so I don't know if he's going to be quite the same Ovechkin that we're used to seeing. But I definitely can see the Capitals making a pretty good run in the playoffs. I don't think that they're going to make the Stanley Cup Finals, but I do think that they are going to stay at top of this division and win this division. So I just don't know if they quite have what it takes. It's kind of interesting because my Islanders coach was their coach for that championship. So so we just have a coaching swap, and he's doing an excellent job for the Islanders. But I don't know. I don't think the Capitals are quite where they were a few seasons ago, but they are looking very strong right now.
Yeah. I do have one more thing to say. Speaking of being on a streak right here, the Buffalo Sabres, they have a win differential of -40. -40. I'm going to say that again, -40. And you look at going back to the Central, they're worse than that one is a -30 by the Detroit Red Wings. The West, you have a -35. Okay, I'm going to get to the Senators in just a little bit, but they have a -43. And they are on the 13-game losing streak. Their last 10 literally went down in a 0-9-1. And they only have 16 points. Looking at the Buffalo Sabres, I said about the Detroit Red Wings next week, when we talk about this team next week, they're probably not going to be a top seed. They're probably not going to make the top seed either anyway, but they're probably going to be eliminated from that top seed next week. Their scenario is looking bad. I estimate that the same thing is going to happen for the Buffalo Sabres in 5 days. 5 days' time, they're going to be their chances at the top seed are gone. Mathematically speaking. What are your thoughts on this Buffalo Sabres team? Do you think it's time for them to rebuild? Do you see them taking that number 1 draft pick for lottery draft?
It's gonna be a photo finish between the Sabres, the Ottawa, and the Red Wings, and the Stars are all kind of, and the Ducks are kind of all kind of craving that number 1
Oh yeah.
draft pick.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to come down to it. I think that the Sabres are going to be probably the front runners at this point, the way that they're playing. I mean, 16 points. You talk about their loss differential. Their goalkeeping, their goaltending is absolutely horrendous. I mean, they might as well just have an empty net at this point, because they aren't stopping anything. And you know what I want to see, Nate? I want to see them unload Taylor Hollinson to the Islanders, because we just have an injured Anders Lee to replace. So I don't know. I feel sorry for promising players and solid players like Taylor Hall that are stuck on very dismal, crappy teams to play on, because they're just way too talented to be wasting their time playing on this low caliber hockey team. So my heart goes out for any decent players that the Sabres may have that just aren't finding any success in the win column. So.
I will say this though, and I completely forgot about this. They aren't playing back-to-back games. So I would say in 10 days, not 5, for the Buffalo Sabres. And we're going to talk about the Detroit Red Wings. I see that happening in 2 weeks, not 1. It's because they aren't playing back-to-back games. But it's still pretty bad for that team.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. They're not like the Vancouver Canucks, where I can say they have too much talent to be where they're at, because they don't have a ton of talent, so I can't give them that excuse that they have too much talent to be this bad at hockey this season. But they do have some talented players on their roster. It's just unfortunate to see, with very, very lackluster goaltending, very not a very great offensive mindset. They're just not playing very good hockey, and it's sad to see. And I guess the only good thing, silver lining, is there's no one in the stands to watch this or pay for it.
Yes. You'll be like my high school football team, where they might just be there for the halftime show or something.
Yeah.
It's just awful for that franchise. But it's not the worst. I would say it's probably not the worst out there. Worst out there being the Senators, which we'll talk about the Senators later on. But let's talk about the West. You have the Golden Knights, who are on top. You have the Colorado Avalanche, who are actually who are actually doing great. They have the best win streak out of the 8 teams. You have the Go Wild, Brandon's team there, and then you have the Blues, the Kings, the Coyotes, the Sharks, and the Ducks. One thing I do want to address though is that this is the closest in points out of all of them. You look at the difference, the differential between the Golden Knights versus the Ducks. That's not even 20 points, 20-point difference. But you look at the East, it's almost 30. It's actually a little over 30. No, it's almost 30. 28. You look at the North, it's getting close. The Central, It's the same way, but this is honestly the closest division out of all of NHL. They've been playing really really tough hockey. It's really without a question. I honestly see Knights, Avalanche, Wild, Blues. I see those 4 teams making it in without a question, though. But where they see it is going to be an interesting question to ask. Do you see, looking at the Coyote situation and looking at the Kings, do you see them making it?
I really don't see. I don't really see the Kings making it. I think that the Coyotes might make a run for a playoff spot. Right now, I don't see the Kings making it. I think that the Coyotes are a little bit better overall than the Kings. But yeah, like you were saying, it's a very tough division. It's very tight knit within the first 4 places. You got the Knights with 41, 38 for the Avalanche. And remember, Nate, I've been singing the Avalanche's praises all season long for you. Now,
Yes.
I think that they're coming on strong. They got that high-powered offense, and they're starting to click. And
I will say one thing, though.
Huh?
I will say one thing, though.
What?
The Blues, you're looking at the Blues and you look at the Coyotes, they're on a 5-game losing streak. The LA Kings aren't. So it honestly, I'm in a disagreement. The Coyotes, I don't think they could. If there's any one of those 4 teams I would pick, it would probably be the Kings. Just off of that streak alone.
Yeah, I know it's tough when you see a team getting an over 5-game losing streak because you wonder if they're ever going to get it back together. I think that the Coyotes may find their way. I don't think that they're going to be putting together. I don't think this losing streak is going to last for too much longer. But yeah, I definitely think that another surprise team that I mentioned a few weeks ago is the Wild. I thought that with as young as the Wild were, I thought that they might slow down, but they're showing no signs of slowing down at all. They're extremely young, but extremely talented, and it's very rare to see a hockey team this young playing so well. But they seem to have it all put together. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't see them overtaking this division. I think this is gonna go to the Knights, but I think that they can make a run for the number 2 position over the Avalanche. I'm very impressed that the Avalanche have been putting together some pretty good games over the last week and a half. So,
and I hate to say this. I hate to say this about my team, but I see us finishing 3rd, and we're 2nd right now. But I see us finishing 3rd. I get that the St. Louis Blues right now are on a losing streak. They actually have, looking at their difference, the point differential, they are actually at a -7. You look at the Kings, they're actually at a 4. But I somehow feel like the St. Louis Blues are going to finish 2nd.
Yeah. Well, you can't count out the Blues. I mean, they're right there. They won the whole thing not too long ago. So they
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So they still have a great core. They're still capable of playing excellent hockey. So yeah, this division I think is. I mean, we talked about the Central earlier and how tough it is, and how they have the top 3 teams in the league right there in 1, 2, 3. But this division is very close too, and this is probably my favorite division because I live over here on the West Coast, and it's just nice to see the Knights, Avalanche, and the Wild doing good. I've always kind of liked the name Wild. I didn't understand the name Wild, but. For Minnesota, but it's exciting. I like these young teams that have a lot of size and power and speed, so it's good to see. It's great hockey.
Yeah, I totally see. Well, looking at the standings here, looking at the North, actually, let's go to the North. The Senators have a worst win-loss differential of a -43. Not win-loss differential, point differential. of a negative 43. They're on a 2-game losing streak. I will say this though. Look at the streak for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now look at the streak for the rest of the division.
Yeah.
You notice how the Toronto Maple Leafs had the worst losing streak, and they still, however, are at the at the top seed.
They're at the top seed, but they're right there with the Oilers, and now they're tied with the Oilers. So
yeah, that's true.
The Oilers are coming on strong.
And looking at the Jets too, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong. One more win for the New York Jets, and a win gives you 3 points, right, Naki? Or is that somewhere else?
A win, I think it does give you 3 points.
Yeah, it gives you 3 points. That's 41 points. That puts the Jets on top. Yeah. If they just win, and the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Oilers don't play a game. And I would watch out for this division, to be honest with you. I can't believe I'm saying that. But look at the Canucks. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They're on a roll. I wouldn't be surprised if they surpass the Canadiens.
Yeah, remember a few weeks ago, Nate, I was talking about the Vancouver Canucks and how I was kind of disappointed because they had all that talent and they were playing pretty bottom-dwelling hockey there for a long time, and they couldn't seem to get everything going. But it seems like old Travis Green's lighting a fire under him over there, and he's getting things going. And I think he just saved his job because, I think that a lot of people were calling for his head, calling for his job not too long ago because they were playing so bad at hockey. But I don't know if he changed the system or what, but they seem to be putting a little bit more together now, and they're getting some good goalkeeping right now. So I could definitely, I think that if the Canucks keep it up, I could see them getting a 3 or 4 seed.
Actually, I don't have much to say on this topic, but looking at the Senators here, they're another team that I don't see them holding on to that 1 seed for very much longer, mathematically speaking. I think they're going to lose in around 5 games. To be honest with you. Now, looking at the worst team for the West here, which that's the Ducks. The Ducks are right now sitting at it. I would say 7 games, just like the Flames. I would say 7 games for them. Now going off the divisions, going off the statistical side of things, and the opinionated side of things here, we're gonna go on to the next topic. Which the next topic we're going to discuss. It's just a general question, to be honest with you. What is the first ever hockey player that you enjoy watching?
Well, Nate the Great, I'm an old man, okay? So I'm going to go way back a little bit. They're here to my childhood, okay? You know that I'm an Islanders fan, and part of the reason I like the Islanders is because they seem to be on ESPN all the time on Wednesday nights when I was growing up as a kid and everything, and in the early to mid 80s and through the late 80s a little bit. And there was a player that was completely lighting it up back in the 80s. His name was Mike Bossy. He played for the Islanders. He was drafted in, I think, 1977. Put his heart and soul into the game, and he just completely lit it up. I mean, he went into the Hall of Fame in 1991, but he retired at the age of 30 because he had chronic back issues.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's a pretty young age to retire. But before he retired, he completely lit it up. I mean, he was putting points up left and right. I mean, the guy could flat out score. He's one of 5 players to score 50 goals in 50 games, which says a lot. And he did that multiple times, consecutive seasons. I mean, this guy could flat out just light up the net. And he was an exciting player to watch. He was a huge, huge part, a huge central part of the reason why the Islanders put together 4 championships in the 80s. It was unfortunate that he had to retire in 87 at the age of 30 due to some back issues and some major problems, with his chronic back health and everything. But yeah, he was just an outstanding player. He is one of 2 players to have won the winning deciding goal in 2 consecutive Stanley Cups. He did that in 1982 and 1983. He won the game winner in both those Stanley Cups, and he won the Rookie of the Year. In 1978, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy in 1982. So he was an MVP of the Stanley Cup, and he could just absolutely tear it up. And honestly, if he could have stayed healthy and played another 6 or 7 years, we'd be talking about him being, he's still considered one of the top 100 hockey players of all time. But if he could have stayed healthy and just tore it up like he was from his heyday, with the Islanders, he'd be right up there with Gretzky for points and everything, because the guy just put up outstanding numbers season after season after season. But after 10 years of just hard play and everything, it's just injuries and everything just caught up with him. So he made it to the Hall of Fame. He had a Hall of Fame career, but it's just like one of those what ifs, because he just had to bow out of the game just a little bit on the early side. So, but he was the first player that I remember just tearing it up, and he was a very exciting player for that team.
My answer actually might come into a surprise for some people. I enjoyed watching this player. My first ever game that I actually saw was a New York game, not a New York Islanders, but it was a New York Rangers game. They played the Boston Bruins, and they actually won this game 4-3 in a shootout back in 2016. Everyone knows that I am a Stars fan, and everyone knows that I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan. Well, guess what? The guy that I'm going for is not somebody from the New York Rangers, not somebody from the Boston Bruins, not somebody from the Colorado Avalanche, not someone from the Dallas Stars, but I'm going to go with the shocker, and I'm going to go with Sidney Crosby from the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's still, to this day, still doing phenomenal. I started following hockey, I would say, right around 2016, I believe. And he's just been one of my, even though he's not a Colorado Avalanche guy, he's still one of my favorite players ever to play the game of hockey. Yeah. So to go in, we cover a little bit of live updates and stuff. I wanted to touch a little bit about a game that's actually going on right now. J-Mac was actually the one who came up with the topics. Both games are tied. They're tied. One is tied at 1-1, and the other is tied at 2-2. That's literally what it is. Blues are tied 1-1 with the Sharks. The Golden Knights tied 2-2 with the Kings. Do you have any predictions for both games? Let's just say that.
I don't really have a lot of predictions for the game. To be honest, Nate, I've been following mostly a little bit of basketball today, following my brackets.
That's true.
So
I remember.
it's been a busy sports day, And I'll tell you what, when I woke up this morning, I had some goosebumps when I saw the NCAA tournament going on, because it just reminded me of the glory days when I played ball in college and everything. And it just feels like everything's starting to come back to us a little bit, get a little bit more normalcy and everything, because we missed out completely on, both the men's and women's tournament last year. So, so I don't really have too much of a prediction right now for the outcome of those two games. What do you got?
Look, going onto that streak that I've been saying about the St. Louis Blues. I actually have the Blues losing to the Sharks today. I know that might come into a surprise, but I feel like they're going to continue that streak. Golden Knights, I feel like they're going to beat the LA Kings, but I feel like that's going to be an overtime game, 3-2.
Yeah.
So let's go right in to the next topic. We actually have five more minutes left. The next show, I believe this is the last show of the night. We're gonna go with your goofy moment.
All right, we're going back to 1986 on this one, Nate. And my goofy moment is Steve Smith. It's more of an unfortunate moment than a goofy moment, but it's one of the more epic bloopers, unfortunate events that's ever happened in hockey. A player by the name of Steve Smith, who was a big-time player for the Oilers, he was clearing a puck in the final game, Game 7, to go to the Stanley Finals against the Calgary Flames when the Flames were really good. And when he cleared the puck accidentally went and hit epic goalie Grant Fuhr while he was from his own team and went into his own net.
Oh no!
So Steve Smith, by mistake, scored the winning goal for the Calgary Flames. And they went into the Stanley Cup Finals. So Steve Smith, I believe, is the only player in NHL history to score the winning goal for the other team, although the goal was credited to some other person from the Flames, but it was actually Steve Smith that hit the puck, and it deflected off of his goalie, Grant Fuhr, the epic Grant Fuhr, and ended up being the game winner. I think they won 4-3, and the Calgary Flames went on to the 1986 Stanley Cup. So, so we're talking Steve Smith, epic player for the Oilers. We're not talking about the all-time great Steve Smith football player, or Steve Smith from Family Guy, or anything like that. We're talking about Steve Smith, the hockey player for the Oilers back in '86, with one of the all-time bloopers in all of sports.
Yeah, that's just.
So if you get a chance, Nate, look that up tonight, Steve Smith.
I definitely will. Definitely will.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Now, it is getting close to that time. Unfortunately, J Mac and Ace could not make the show today. So, do you have any final comments? I have this feeling that it's going to go towards March Madness. What are your final takes on it?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I picked a few winners. I picked a few losers today. One bracket's looking good. One bracket's looking pretty bad right now. But I have no idea why I picked Colgate, because I don't even use their toothpaste. So, but anyway, I would tell you that my final thought for today is that in life and in anything, you need to trust your own gut. And what I mean by that is today, before I woke up, I was having a dream that I was in the batter's box against the great legendary Los Angeles Dodger, Mr. Bulldog himself, Orel Hershiser. And Orel Hershiser and I were duking it out, and we were in the middle of a 10 or 11 pitch at bat, and we were talking a little bit of trash back and forth and everything. And then shortly after that, I woke up. Then when I got ready for the day, I started thinking, man, that's kind of crazy that I was dreaming about Oral Hershiser. And then I turned on March Madness and I realized that Oral Roberts was going to play, a couple hours down the road. And then I got to thinking, well, I had a dream about Oral Hershiser. I wonder if I should put a 50, get on the horn and put a 50 on Oral Roberts just for the fun of it. Well, I never did. And guess what happened today, Nate? Oral Roberts pulled off the upset.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, oh, well.
Yeah. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
My final thoughts that I'm doing okay on my brackets. I got 4 wrong so far. I'm sitting at right there at 90 points. So this has been, Nate the Great and Greg, Hot Seat Gallo. So Chris, take away. We're signing out for now.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. Like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.